Hi, it's David again. I just wanted to make a few comments on my experience with the Mormon Church. I can't speak for other people, but you know what? I can speak for myself. I been a member, or have been a member of the church for 50 years before I resigned, and I've certainly worked in their temples and taught lessons, been in their elders quorum presidencies and taught lessons to the elders quorum and stake presidencies and talks and seminary for a short time. I wanted to kind of give a summary of the things I learned on the internet that just sent me into a state of shock. Being a member of a cult for 50 years, they controlled very carefully what I believed, what I saw, what I thought, what I dressed, underwear, food, everything. Cult controls all the impact of the outside environment coming into your life, and most of it's blocked. When I started looking at the internet and started reading objectively, now I don't go onto an internet site and read, gee, I was a Mormon and I hate the Mormon church because I committed adultery and they excommunicated me. How could they do such a thing? That's crap. That's crap. What I'm looking at as an educated person is I want to see the links, L-I-N-K-S. I don't want to see individual YouTubes especially. I want to see history, real history, real factual patterns, real interviews. When I started to investigate the internet, here's some of the things that popped up that I didn't know. I've been a member of the Mormon Church for 50 years. One of their main members, tithe paying, working in the temple, family of 12, the whole thing. How come I didn't know this? I graduated from their university. I have a master's degree from Northeastern State University, 28 postgraduate credits from Springfield College, 1 year of law school. Was I just not looking? Well, you decide. You're the one watching the video. I didn't know that Joseph Smith didn't have a job, that he was a gold digger. I guess he was one of these guys that you see on TV that have those things at the beach that are electronic, and he's trying to find gold rings that somebody lost and old coins. That was his job. I'm thinking, gee, that's, I don't think I'd want that on my resume, that I'm a gold digger. Well, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that he had a seer stone. Now, I've had a lot of stones in my life, but I've never been able to see through one. I don't know what a seer stone is. Do you? Have you ever seen a seer stone? Did you go to Walmart and say, what aisle is the seer stones on? He had a seer stone. And it's also called a peep, P-E-E-P stone. Well, the only modern English that I know that has peep is a peeping Tom. Peeping. I didn't know he had a peep stone. I was always taught that, he found these gold plates from the angel and translated them. Well, when he married Emma, I think her maiden name was Hale, the father was not crazy about that. I think the father had some common sense and looked at the Joseph Smith guy and goes, this guy's a loser. But be that as it may, I didn't know that he had a peep stone. I didn't know that basically the story of him in the sacred grove, I've been in the sacred grove. I've been out there. Looked all around, I've been in the sacred grove. I didn't know that that first vision, extravaganza, circus act had been rewritten several times. He saw some people sometimes, he saw other people other times, they said certain things. There's no consistent story there. I didn't know that. I thought, you read it there in the Book of Mormon and it was solid. Well, Talk about the Book of Mormon. You know, it's had 2,000 to 3,000 corrections. Joseph Smith said it's the most correct book in the world. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that basically Joseph Smith really didn't work. His father had a little farm, and I guess now and then he helped out on the farm. I didn't know that Joseph Smith had 33 wives, polygamous wives. I didn't know 2 of those wives were 14-year-old girls. Now, the only thing I know of that a 14-year-old girl can bring to a wedding or marriage are 2 things. A teddy bear. And I'm going to let you use your imagination of whether Joseph Smith was that interested in teddy bears, or was maybe he interested in something else with a 14-year-old. Look at the church genealogical library. I'm not a liar, it shows right in there. Nancy Winchester and Helen Mar Kimball, both wives of Joseph Smith. Look at their age, 14. Then look at the other 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds that he married. And then look at how many wives he married of men he sent on missions. He'd send a man to Europe or send a man to Canada or whatever, then he'd marry his wife while the guy was gone. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that when I went to the temple in the Mormon church that they were going to have me swear to give them everything I own now and everything I'll ever get in the future to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Pele Ale. I didn't know we were going to chant Pele Ale in the temple. I didn't know that we were going to give everything away. And I didn't know that I had to raise my right hand and use my thumb to slit my throat as a punishment if I ever said anything about the Mormon temple outside the temple. I didn't know I'd have to put my thumb across my stomach, pull it across, and my guts falling out as a death threat, if I said anything about the Mormon temple. I didn't know that. 50 years. I didn't know that. I didn't know it was Joseph Smith, the mayor of Nauvoo, that helped burn the Nauvoo Expositor. Was a newspaper that was going to print all of his escapades with all of these women. That's why the Nauvoo Expositor got burned down. I didn't know that. I also didn't know that basically I've been in Carthy's jail, I've been in Liberty jail, I've been at his birth site, I've been in the Sacred Grove, I've been on the Hill Cumorah, I've been at his cemetery spot. I have been everywhere Joseph Smith has been, except maybe with Helen and Nancy. I didn't know. 50 years in that cult, they kept me from finding this information. I didn't know that Brigham Young said, gee, if you marry a black person, the only thing suited for you is death. Death. I didn't know Brigham Young said if any of your members of your family leave the Mormon church, you shun them. I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all. But they do a good job at that. I didn't know that I think it's William C. Bennett was a doctor. And there's journals showing that he had a long abortion tool, spoon, up his jacket. And that many times when he traveled with Joseph, or Joseph was going through the community, women reported that William C. Bennett basically performed abortions on some of the young girls that Joseph Smith got pregnant. I didn't know that Emma Smith, she was as much of a fool as I was. She had to beat up one of the, and send her out of the house, little gal that Joseph Smith was found sleeping with in the mansion house. Emma throws her out. Then Joseph goes to Emma and says, gee, you know, an angel appeared to me with a burning sword in his hand, and he said, gee, if you don't marry 14-year-olds and other men's wives, you're going to lose your life, and I'm going to kill Emma too. I guess she's as much of a fool as I was. I didn't know these things. I didn't know that Brigham Young probably initiated and oversaw the Mountain Meadows Massacre. I think it was 114, somewhere in there. Men, women, and children murdered by the stake presidents and the bishops of Washington County down there after they had surrendered all of their arms to the Mormons and a white flag. The Mormons said, we'll give you safe passage. As soon as they handed over their weapons, the Mormons shot and killed them right there. right in cold blood. So I want to end my video today basically saying there's a lot of things I didn't know about the Mormon Church, and I was in it 50 years. If you're thinking of joining the Mormon Church or investigating, for God's sakes, get on the internet and go look at the history of this cult and the people who invented it and continue to run it. There are hundreds and thousands of things I didn't know about the Mormon Church. If I was in your position and maybe looking at the Mormon Church, I would have saved myself a lifetime of agony, pain, and financial distress by just going on the damn internet, looking at it and saying, hey, let's be objective. This is what the Mormons say. Let's see if what they say is true. I know what they say is not true. You decide for yourself. Thanks.